Happy to have Mario Bautista back on the show after another impressive win, this time at UFC Vegas 71, a round one RNC victory over Guido Cannetti. Mario, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. I have to imagine you're living the high life right now. Another big win, fourth win in a row, three straight finishes, and this time over a veteran in Canetti. And I wanted to just start off by asking you about being the biggest favorite on the card. We're seeing even the UFC. I mean, they're talking about it all the time. The betting lines. When you're the biggest favorite, does that add extra pressure on you to go out there and win impressively?
A little bit, and it's hard not to see those things. You're rolling through Instagram, you see the numbers, and you're just like, dang. And I think even one was like I was a bigger favorite than like Bo was to his opponent, Bo Nickel. So I mean, I wouldn't say it adds pressure, but I mean I'm putting pressure on myself. I was out there just to get the finish, so I try not to pay attention to that kind of thing.
Fair enough. No, you didn't get a performance bonus. I thought that you'd be maybe one of the leaders in the clubhouse for that. Are you disappointed?
Uh, no, no, not really. I know Davy Grant. I mean, he put that guy to sleep. Bruno had a pretty good sequence as well. Um, but it is what it is. I can't get all the bonuses, so they probably think something's up if I start getting them all.
Okay. Well, again, going in against a veteran, Canetti, he's 43 years old, which, I mean, that in itself, especially at bantamweight, that is truly impressive to be fighting the best guys in the world at 43. What was the game plan, or did you even have one going in for this fight?
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely to do what I just did. His last two opponents, I think they just didn't respect him. And in the first round, he's very high level. He tends to fade, but that first round is definitely where you watch out. Mind your p's and q's. So that was the game plan. If he got out of the first, I knew he'd have less steam on his punches. So, but he didn't make it out of the first, and that was the game plan: take him to the mat, wear him out, and he just couldn't keep up.
So run me through how the finish presented itself. You had a monster suplex and transitioned that into an RNC. How did that all present itself?
Well, I got on his back, and I had that the body triangle, but I had it kind of loose, so it was more on my toes. So I was kind of foot locking myself. The more pressure I applied, I would feel it in my foot. So I just had to find the right time to let go. And he was walking back with me. He wasn't turning back into me as fast as I thought he was going to. So it just allowed me to get that body lock, go for the throw. And when I threw him, even myself, it jars you. You're kind of like wondering where you're at. You're readjusting. But in that time, I just threw my arm across his neck, made sure I secured that, and then looked for my hooks, and then eventually got that short choke, and that was pretty much it.
Is there anything that you can take away from this performance that you can kind of pick at and say, I could have done this better? Or I mean, is that as flawless as a performance as it gets?
Oh no, no, there I was looking back at it. I could have done this, I could have done that. I could have not gotten taken down. That's one for sure. Um, but you know, uh, the thing I took away from it was like I got to fight someone that had that kind of intensity, that came to really try to put me out and really fight through as much as he could. I've had other opponents kind of, you know, uh, not be as aggressive or kind of like shrink down and let me get the finish. So, but Guido was there the full time trying to fight. So I appreciate that.
Well, congrats on another victory, another big win for you. And with the main event of this card, being Marab and Piotr Jan, I have to imagine that intrigued you quite a bit. Did you get a chance to kick back and watch that, or were you too busy doing media obligations?
No, no, no. We watched that one back at the hotel, and it was a very fun fight. I really liked that fight. But Marab, that's someone that's very hard to train for. He might not have the best skills in the world, but he definitely has one of the best gas tanks in the world, and he definitely fights all the way through. And it was just too much for Peter Yan. So, uh, yeah, if you take a fight with Marab, it's gonna be a tough camp, and it's gonna be a tough fight.
Were you surprised at that outcome?
No, not really. If it was gonna be 5 rounds, Marab's pretty hard to put away. but the longer the fight went on, man, I think it just plays more into Merab's favor, and that's exactly what happened.
I wanted to get your take too on, obviously Aljamain's the champion, and that's Marab's training partner, close friends, teammates, and right now he's got his hands full with Cejudo up next. That's the next title fight, but if he wins that one, and Marab gets another win, if they have to fight, like run me through that from your point of view. Like if you were in a situation like that, having to potentially fight a teammate, a friend for the title, is that something that would be difficult for you to do, or is it just all business at that point?
No, I think it would be all business. We all have that same dream. If I was Merab, I would take the fight, and if I was Aljamain, I would be mad if my buddy didn't take the fight just on however he felt. I'd be upset that he didn't take the fight. So it's something we've joked about, years ago, not knowing how things are really going to play out. But I think if it ever did come to it, we'd have to just train, separately. That's it. You know, fight, and then afterwards, be friends again. And like, how just cool would it be, two guys from the same gym fighting for the belt? It just shows how well, our gym is doing. So I would have no problem doing it.
Do you think that between Aljo and Marab, they know who would probably get their hand raised? I mean, they're in there with each other all the time. Do you think they probably have a good idea?
Maybe I would say maybe, because you don't really, you really don't go 100% in training. They might know through wrestling, you can go 100% wrestling, but as far as fighting and just digging deep, you really don't find that out until the fight. Like like with me with this suplex, I've never suplexed any of my teammates before. It's just all things I've imagined. So I think it would yeah, we'd have to see it for sure.
So a couple quick predictions here. Who do you think wins between Aljamain and Cejudo? Let's just start there first. Do you think he retains the belt or Cejudo gets it?
I'm gonna go with Aljamain. I think he can keep up with the wrestling, and I think he's obviously been more active, and so I'm gonna go with Aljamain on that one.
And if it does set up a matchup with Marab, who do you think wins that?
Uh, you know, I'm gonna have to go with Marab. I think mentally he's a little bit stronger. Um, I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, Marab doesn't stop, and I would have to go with him.
Man, the bantamweight division in the UFC is so much fun. Do you think that you guys are the deepest, the most talented division on the UFC roster right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's between us and probably 55. Um, yeah, even I'm on a 4-fight win streak, and I'm still not even in the top 15. So that goes to show like how deep our division is, and how fast things can change, and it's very deep.
What do you cut to get to 135?
I don't cut too much. I usually so say like 8 weeks out, they let me know. I'm probably walking around like 155, 156, and I start to get myself like, and I don't get out of the gym too much, but I get myself in better shape, and I usually hang around 53, 54 throughout the entire camp, just for injury prevention. And that's the weight I fight at anyway, so I want to be around that weight. And then fight week, that's where I really get myself down to like 44 and lose my water from there.
Mario, you're seeing a lot of guys nowadays take short notice fights. A lot of fighters that are new to the UFC, that's their way in. They take a short notice fight against a veteran fighter, or just someone that's a massive favorite, just to get their foot in the door. If you had a short notice fight against, I mean, there's a couple of bantamweight fights around the corner that are very high level, top of the division. Rob Font, Adrian Yanez, Chito Vera, Corey Sandhagen. If a short notice opportunity like that came about, is it just a no brainer? You jump on it, or do you want a full camp once you're getting into that top 15, top 10?
It all would depend on, like, I guess, who I'm fighting. Um, some you match up better stylistically with people. You've been training kind of like in that direction anyway. Playing around. So I would like a full camp, but like I said, it would all depend on who it is. And now after this fight that I just had, I plan on being in the gym, more consistently. I always do, but I'm going to be ready just in case an opportunity like that comes up.
Do you think you're going to be in the top 15 soon? I mean, a 4-fight win streak, it seems like you're right there.
I would hope so. I think I went through like Tapology, and no one else has um, three first round finishes or three finishes in a row. I think they're kind of like decisions, finishes here and there. So I would hope after this fight I get a top 15.
Yeah, I would think the same thing, my man. Tell me a little bit about camp. Obviously, you're at one of the best gyms on planet Earth, the MMA Lab. Benson Henderson just retired. Tell me how have you had a chance to talk to him? And is there any chance that he would come out of retirement, or is he all done?
No, I think he's going to be all done. He made that commitment to his wife to for her to train and him kind of take care of the small things at home. Um, I haven't talked to him about retirement. Um, I'm just happy for him. I'm glad he's done such great things in this sport. Has defended the time or the belt, the UFC belt, as many times as anyone else, like Khabib. So definitely one of the best in the world. And I'm just glad to have him, retired, so we can also pick his brain, and get some like advice and have him in our corners, have him come out to fight week with us. So I'm super excited. We get to level up from that.
Mhm. Yeah, very well said. Does he still train or fight with the toothpick in his mouth?
Uh, I haven't seen it. I think he's gotten better about it, actually, because once you start to have kids, even myself, like the little things you used to do, you like, you got to lead by example. You don't want your kid looking at you with a toothpick in their mouth, and then they go do that. So I think he's gotten a lot better about it. Last time I seen it, he fought, I think, Masvidal, and then he popped it out of his mouth live on TV.
That's crazy. I mean, you guys must have given him a hard time about that because I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, it has to be if you get hit the wrong way.
No, yeah, and I thought it was like for long, and he does so well at hiding it. So at first I thought it was just like a rumor. Oh, like he fights with a toothpick in his mouth. I'm like, I haven't really seen that until I seen it live on TV, and I think coach has gotten after him for a little bit about it. So I don't know. Maybe he still does it. Maybe he doesn't. So
Okay. Hey, tell me what makes John Crouch such a great coach. I haven't had the chance to ever interview him, but I hear a lot of fighters, rave about just how good of a coach he is. Can you just kind of speak on that a little bit?
yeah, I mean, like he's always he always tends to individuals, and he knows how to tend to the team, as a whole. If you start to miss practice here and there, he'll let you know. He'll send you a text. We all get a text, practice question mark, and it goes around the gym. It's pretty funny. But, you know, I think the thing about him too, he's always willing to learn new things, adapt himself. And I think the thing that makes him a great, coach is that he's a great student as well. He's always learning, taking in ideas, and then trying to relay it to us and have us and just teach it to us. So I think that's what makes him one of the best coaches in the world.
Who are your main training partners at the lab? Is there a couple of guys that you go with more than the others when you're like in the middle of camp?
Uh, in the middle of camp, it'll switch up to like I guess to who I'm preparing for. But like, say if I go in today's sparring, um, I like to go with like some of the guys that have been there a little bit longer, like Marcus McGee. He's coming up, and he has some of the best striking I've ever seen. But he'll take care of you. He won't like beat you up. So it's always fun to go with those guys, the guys that will play the chess game with you and not so much, that macho game where they try to test you out. So those are the type of guys I like to go with.
All right. And obviously we saw that you called out Cody Garbrandt for your next fight. Has he chirped back at all? Did he say anything to that?
No, no, I haven't heard anything. And I know he was on Twitter too, because he like made a comment on I think the fight before mine or something about Davy Grant. So I know he was watching. Um, but yeah, I think that's going to be up to him, whether he wants to take it or not. I put it out there. If he doesn't want it, he doesn't want it, and it's going to be what it is. But hopefully, we either get that or a top 15.
What did you think of Garbrandt's most recent performance? Were you impressed?
Um, Not really. I think he's really strayed away from his old style. And when you do something like that, when you see such a big change, I think obviously things are going on with him, you know. Um, so I don't know. I wasn't impressed with the new style. It would have been different if he moved around a little bit more and was a little aggressive at the same time. But yeah, I didn't I wasn't too impressed.
So if it's not Garbrandt, you said you want a top 15 opponent. Is there anyone that stands out that you think would make sense?
In the top 15, no. I mean, whoever, like 10, 10 through 15, any one of those guys. It's just, I don't care about the guys. I just would like the number.
Okay. And last question for me, time frame. When is the perfect time frame for you to jump back in there and fight again?
Well, I'm going off based on last year. You know, last year I fought in February and then I fought in June. So I'm looking, you know, for the end of June, maybe July International Fight Week, and then another one at the end of the year. I think I had really good time between each to recover, learn, get into a camp, and then rinse and repeat those.
All right, very good. Well, Mario, great talking to you again, man, and congrats on another win. I'm very impressed. I think the future is bright for you, my man. Anyone that follows the game knows that. And again, fourth straight win in a row, three straight finishes for UFC bantamweight Mario Bautista. Before we do sign off, I want to kick it over to you. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram, Mario underscore Bautista MMA. And then just want to thank my team for getting me through camp, you know, my corners, getting me through that fight. And I just want to thank you for doing this interview as well.